Welcome to From the Honeycomb podcast. I am your host, Katerina. Join me as we explore stories of fearless female entrepreneurs and inspiring women in architecture, construction, engineering, and beyond. Each episode is a captivating blend of topics that resonate with the soul. Whether you're here to learn more about entrepreneurship, architecture, holistic living, or just need a little extra inspiration, you've come to the right place. So sit back, relax, and let the buzz of positive energy spark your curiosity. This week on the Women in Architecture series, I'm joined by Katelyn Rossier, architect, founder of Mentor Dino, podcaster, and passionate advocate for those aspiring in the AEC industry. At the heart of Katelyn's work is a deep commitment to the people who make up every part of a project, from the design team, job site crew, to clients and the broader community. She champions the idea that interpersonal skills like empathy, clear communication, and true collaboration aren't optional. They're essential to moving the industry forward. So Katelyn, welcome back to From the Honeycomb.
Thanks, Katerina. And I'm going to have you do my intros for everything from now on.
I think you said that last time too. And I really, I appreciate it. I will say I do have help from ChatGPT, but you are such a multifaceted person too. And I think so many of the women I have on where it's just like, I never know what to take, how much information, what to grab, because there's so much. But so I'm really excited to have you back on the podcast, Katelyn, and just hear what you've been up to since you were on 2 years ago.
Yeah, I'm excited to share because so much has changed. And I know your episode went out today for my podcast. So it's always fascinating to see where we've been and where we've gone.
Very true. Very true. And I'll provide a link in the show notes too for my episode on Mentor Dino podcast for sure.
Yeah.
So Katelyn, as you know, we begin every episode by sharing something we are grateful for in the present moment. So what are you grateful for?
I think last time I was grateful for my husband, but this time I'm going to do a little tweak and be thankful for our parents. So I am a new mom. My daughter is now 4 months old, and it is exhausting switching over to being a parent, and especially to a child that doesn't like to nap. So I feel like she has my energy. And so really leaning on grandparents and having a community around us to help myself and my husband between learning how to be a parent, getting back into working, and then Mentor Dino is my small business. So, being a business owner, I'm working part-time, he's working full-time, and sleepless nights. I know I mentioned before the podcast, I've been up since 3 a.m. So it is not easy, and really appreciating help and getting help and not being afraid to ask for help and to get that support so I can take a break. And it's so important to step away sometimes, even though I love my daughter. I'm really grateful for having that family and support system around me right now. And so the last 4 months, I appreciate them.
Oh, I love hearing that. And I think it's, they always say it takes a village, regardless of, to raise a child, put a business together, all that. But I mean, you have a business, you also have a job that you're, I know you kind of jumped back into that recently. And on top of everything, and the fact that you have your parents, the community, and your community around you, I think that's an amazing thing to be grateful for. And I know a lot of people don't have that. So I'm glad that you have that support.
Yeah, no matter what your community is, because I know across the street is friends of ours that I actually graduated high school with her, but we didn't meet until she moved in across the street. And their son is exactly 7 months older than our daughter. And the amount of texts going back and forth, and it's like, did you deal with this? What's going on? Oh my God, this happened. And so just having that support system, or she even had like a breakdown one day that she just needed to get out. And she's like, I need to go for a walk. Can you go on a walk with me? And I was like, sure. Pawn off my daughter and my husband. I'm like, moms need a walk time and just get away, reset, and take a break. And so it's so important to have a community around you, regardless if you've got now grandparents around to help or anybody. So
very, very true. Friends that become family in a way.
Exactly.
Hi, it's me, Katerina. Before we jump into today's episode, I want to share with you something that can change the trajectory of your life. If you are ready to start your own architecture firm, but are feeling overwhelmed by where to begin, I understand, because I felt the same way when I first embarked on my entrepreneurial journey. This is why I have created the ebook, The Mindful Blueprint for Launching Your Architecture Firm. This comprehensive workbook contains everything I wish I had known before starting my own firm. From building a solid business plan to creating your brand, the Mindful Blueprint for Launching Your Architecture Firm offers a step-by-step guide tailored to your timeline, whether you're launching your firm today, next month, or in a few years. Dive into essential topics like financial planning, organization strategies, and how to secure your first client, all in one convenient resource. That's right, you don't have to spend hours researching. I have done that for you so you can focus on building your business. And that's not all. With your purchase, you'll also receive an exclusive meditation for business owners, mindfulness tips, a crystal guide for support, and gratitude exercises to help you stay focused and positive throughout your journey. Turn your dream of having your own firm into a reality with the Mindful Blueprint for Launching Your Architecture Firm. Click on the link in the show notes to get your copy today. Now, let's dive into the episode. Well, so Katelyn, you were on the podcast 2 years ago, and you shared your journey about starting Mentor Dino and your architecture journey, even the AREs. So for listeners who want to catch up with you and hear all about that, I'll provide a link in the show notes for that episode as well. But yeah, let's kind of continue. And, we kind of started a little bit this morning. We've been kind of messaging and we know things are going on. And then we just connected recently with me being on your podcast. But can you share with the listeners what you've been up to the last 2 years?
So much has changed in the last 2 years. I know whenever I had Janine Chastain on my podcast, and she has her own small business, and it's all aimed to help professionals in the AEC industry. And there are so many different things to touch on. So it's hard to really niche down and focus on one particular area. So the architecture registration exams are easy because it's you can focus in, you're just trying to get licensed. It's a start finish. But my passion's always been beyond the exams. And it's, the knowledge gaps that happen in the industry, or you have to learn in the field, learn ad hoc, learn through failure, which failure is great and you can learn from it. But there's so many things you don't have to reinvent the wheel every time. And architecture doesn't have to be so hard. So I've definitely learned a lot because I know I launched my courses at the start of 2023, learning, you can't just launch things randomly. You really have to build up an audience, connect with people, network, bring in that community and experts to help build something. I had done an ARE story series and I've collected over 85 stories on people passing the AREs. But then people thought I taught the AREs. And I'm like, no, that's not what I wanted to do. And I know podcasters like yourself got me into podcasting. So that started after I was on your podcast initially, because I was always trying to find a way to share career stories. That's where my passion has been. And podcasting was the way to do it because it's a lot easier to ask somebody, a stranger, people I don't even know, hey, can I have an hour of your time? Rather than, hey, can you write your life story down in a blog post? So podcasting's been a lot of fun. And then just trying to restructure Mentor Dino. But I felt like I was putting out an episode every week. I know we've talked about burnout with putting out episodes. And it was I felt like I was always on social media, just trying to post social media content. And I was I didn't have time to get back to my core mission of Mentor Dino. And that was training and helping professionals. And I got pregnant last year. So I learned how to do podcasting while having ginger ale and crackers next to me. I was recording 3 episodes a week. So then the podcast could continue and I could have some kind of maternity leave from Mentor Dino. But it was a lot of work, but I figured out a good rhythm now. And I've even now gone to every other week having a new guest and a themed episode in between. Where I think last week I pulled together all the spec writers that I've had on there. And I'm let's talk about specs to help people find information based on a question and then go let them know, hey, what other professionals to talk to. And actually helps me now that I have a kid that doesn't nap and I have to coordinate babysitters now. But maternity leave was great. Disconnecting from work because I was working full time up to me going on leave. It was a great way to just take a step back. I'm not working. Yeah, I'm up late nights and trying to figure out how to be a mom, but I actually had really good time to reflect on my career. And not only my career, but Mentor Dino and what I wanted to do because I felt like an octopus with too many legs going in different directions. And so it was, how can I hone in and figure out what I want to do? So I decided to come back to Smith Group part-time. So just doing part-time with them, which helps me figure out babysitters because I don't have daycare quite yet for any parents trying to find daycare. Godspeed. It's always hard to find something. You can't get it unless like you put your name into daycare like before you even know you're pregnant. It's crazy.
That's what I've heard. I've heard like daycare is like harder than getting into college, I think, and like preschool.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like my daughter was born in March and I couldn't get her in until September. And then so many places didn't even call us back. So we're like, great, we got her in somewhere. We're going there. So definitely as I figure out getting used to work, but Mentor Dino, I'm shifting it into the Mentor Dino Academy. So it's all my technical training in one spot, pulling in experts, because by no means am I an expert in everything. I always say architects need to know a little bit about a lot, whereas engineers and specialists need to know a lot about a little. And so now I'm on calls. Like I think right before this one, I was on a call with somebody just to try to get them into the academy to help teach. And then the community arm I had started was supposed to be the technical training too, but I just didn't like you hate when a program doesn't work the way you want it to work. Like I wanted this like nice database. So it took me forever to find a nice database that I could do micro lessons, like no CEUs, like let's just get down dirty into the details. Let's get the specifics, the why behind details, and be able to build it out because there's going to be a lot of content. So I'm shifting the community side to be mentoring only. So talking about career growth, parents in architecture. Now that I'm a parent, I have a passion in that. But then a business of architecture, women in architecture, licensure and credentials. So letting people have those groups to talk to all in one facet. So it's if you're an emerging professional, you can check in and see what the mid-career group is talking about to level up your career. Or if you're looking to mentor, you can jump down into the emerging professional group and be like, hey, how can I help? Or questions people are asking to help answer it. And you can be more fluid with it, or you can kind of live in the zone that you need help with. So that's why I decided on with everything, me being on leave, but now it's trying to revamp Mentor Dino again. Unfortunately, I had to switch my course platform too. I was like getting everything prepped, and then you get those emails like, hey, our pricing structure is changing and we're doing this. And they changed it enough in a way that it was messing up everything. And I was like, okay, now I got to get all my courses into a completely different platform, learn a new platform. And I'm like, oh, okay, while trying to deal with my daughter. So like my husband's pictures of me like working on my laptop and she's asleep in my arms. Like, no, I will get this done and I will get it out. So that's what I've been working on lately to kind of take my crazy arms from last year and get it niched down into something that is not only manageable, so I don't get burned out, but really to a point that is an impact and having a bigger database of stuff all in one spot. So firms can use it to help train, teach, coach, have some licensure components in it. So then it can help students get licensure, but the firms help with their technical training. So it kind of hits two birds with one stone. Yeah. And so that launches in September. I think this episode's coming out after that. So it'll be launched and available by the time everybody listens to this. And I am so excited to get it done.
Sounds like you've also learned so much on how to launch. I think that was something we also talked about previously. I think at one point you had launched 3 or 4 courses at one time.
Yeah.
And so I think too, you've grown not only as an individual over the last few years based off of what's been happening with you personally, but also you've grown because you've tried so many different things. And I can definitely resonate with, getting that email about, hey, we're changing our platform or we're changing this or pricing is going up. Oh my gosh, I get that across like every platform, especially the last few years. And so it becomes a lot. And so having to also make those decisions as a creative and putting on your business hat, which sometimes is hard to do because you want to do the fun creative stuff. You don't want to think about budgets for yourself because, you're like, it's like, it gets really restrictive, but you have to be that responsible person who's like, okay, no, we can't do this and we can do that. So it's been really amazing.
I'm pulling out like spreadsheets and it's like, okay, can I afford this bigger software platform? Like I think before I switched to the platform the Academy is going to be on, I went through so many spreadsheets just trying to figure out financially because I'm already taking a hit for having the previous platform because you pay for it on a yearly basis. So I'm like, okay, well, screwed for that year and I can at least take that off next year. But then I also hired somebody to make the student dashboard for me. When I got into the program, I was like, you know what? This is going to take me forever. And now as a mom, I'm like, okay, the time it would take me to figure out how to do this, I'm going to reach out to somebody and just see what the pricing would be. I'm like, I know this is going to be expensive, but I want to do this right. And I want it to be searchable. I want to be able to make filters. I want to do this. And I want it to look good. Like as so much as design professionals, it's like,
Yes.
I can tell. I'm like, I was like, oh my God, this looks like a kindergartner put it together. I cannot launch this way. And so I worked out the cash. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to pretend I'm just starting the business over. And sometimes you have to go in the hole a little bit to make sure it's done right. And I'm so glad I did it. Like the dashboard for me was just accessible a week and a half ago. And I was so excited to get in, play around, see what buttons. I asked to make some tweaks, and this person has no idea about the AEC industry. So teaching her spec divisions and different other things I wanted it to do. So she learned a lot, and it was just fantastic. And she actually gave me videos so I can edit it. And I think that's what I like the most is she didn't handcuff me into like, I have to always buy their service if I want to edit a website. It's like, no, she gave me like the actual resources and tools to change my website, change any landing pages, change the student dashboard. And she's like, don't touch any of this, touch over here.
Yeah.
And she did so many little like coding things that I would have not even known how to like look it up. I know how to edit the code, but to build it wouldn't have been there. So you find the right people to do the work for you. I think that's the other. When I first launched all my courses, it was like imposter syndrome. I don't want to like build up content to it and give myself a deadline in case I can't make it. Or what if people judge me to like, what do I know? And then doing it all on my own. It's like I did all the video editing, the podcast, I did my own video editing to start out. And now I have somebody help me with that. Like so much time. The value of paying somebody so you get time back in the day is so important, and picking where that makes sense. And it's like, okay, what else can I do to help pay for that person to be able to do this other thing? So many lessons. No wonder business owners don't make any money typically in the first year, because it's like there's so many things you need to learn in marketing, because mine's more marketing sales type stuff I had to learn too. There's so much things that change in social media. Or I tried cold emailing a bunch of people, and I'm like, you know what? I wouldn't want a cold email. And you learn so much on like, don't click on phishing email links. I'm like, well, probably nobody's looking at it because they don't want to get hacked. So I'm like, nope. In architecture, I got to do it the old school way. Pick up the phone, call people, send dedicated emails, reach out on LinkedIn rather than an email, because you get so many emails in a day. So
You do.
you learn a lot.
Yeah, no, the delegation aspect I think is so important, especially when you have your own business. And it's kind of hard at the beginning, like when you said, at first it looks like a kindergartner kind of put it together, your first initial few stuff. I had that same feeling about my website. And this year I invested, Liz Sidnor, who's also part of the Women in Architecture series this year. She did my website, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it looks amazing. And it's like, and then you feel good about it. You invested your money in it. And then it looks amazing, and it ends up being worth it. And I think it just elevates, like that was my whole thing this year, is to elevate my business. And finally, I had the finances to do it. That was another thing, is like sometimes, like when you are initially starting out, you are doing everything yourself unless you have that capital. And so you're the website designer, you're the bookkeeper, you're the everything, and the architect and the just everything all in one. So it becomes a lot, but it's been amazing to see how you've delegated. And I know we've been in conversations, or we ask each other questions, we DM each other about stuff.
Yeah.
Because there's so much that goes to it. And I think people too, listening, you hear the behind the scenes just with what Katelyn was talking about, of putting together something on a platform for people to use, to be able to learn, and just thinking about it, the coding behind it, all that goes into it, the pricing. Then you got to figure out which platform does what you want it to do. Like there's so much thought that goes into it before it even gets to the person's, I was going to say their hands, but really, into their device or whatever they're using, I guess, in that sense, which I guess is in our hands if it's on your phone. But once it gets into the user, there has been so many decisions that have had to been made. And so it's amazing too that, and you seem so much more confident, and like, you're like, yeah, I know what I'm doing. Like, I know what I want. And going back to, you're kind of niching down. I think that's really important that you've also realized. And I think so many people I've been talking to lately are like, I said yes to so many things. And like, we're multifaceted women. There's so much we want to do. Architecture, there's so much in architecture within and of itself. And so sometimes it's like, we want to do it all and do all these things, but at the end of the day, there's only so many hours in a day. And so finding out what brings you joy, what is most important, I think that's really what you have seemed to have done. especially with the maternity leave that you had. And that's such a beautiful time that as you became a mother too, you got to reevaluate, okay, so what is important for me? How do I want this next season, chapter of life to go?
Yeah, because not to get morbid on it, but like my mentor passed away a month before my daughter was born. And I was so upset that he didn't get to meet her. And so it was like a whole whirlwind of emotions. Plus, you're pregnant. So your emotions are all over the place anyway. Yeah. But he had just retired and he didn't get to enjoy his retirement. Plus, I wanted to have him like, help me with Mentor Dino stuff. He was so excited on everything I was doing. But it's like, life is short. You don't know how long we're going to have. And it's, what, why not take a risk? And I don't think I had that mindset when I started Mentor Dino. It was kind of like, I'm going to try this thing on the side because I know it's something that'll help. And hopefully it can bring me more passion and align things for me. And now it's like, no, this needs done. And we're going to do it now and we're going to do it right. And it's like the gusto I have behind it's different. And between having, I want time with my daughter. I don't necessarily want to work 40 hours in a week or have more flexibility to, if I want to go to the zoo on a Friday, like I want to be able to go do that with her because I'm not going to get that time back. I have no idea if we're going to have more kids. So this may be the only chance I have like an infant toddler going through all those stages. So it's like, what can I do? And like, I still get imposter syndrome and I have my days, but then I usually have a great conversation with somebody that's really excited about what I'm doing and it resets me immediately. And I'm like, yes, okay, I'm on the right track. I'm going to keep doing this and like pushes me forward. But it's really like, the deaths that you weren't expecting, the life that comes in. And then when you can step away from something and it's like all my social media and podcasting stuff was already synced up. I didn't have to do anything except for Happy Podcast Thursday. And I just looked like crap and it was fine. But it was like nice to take a break. And it's like break from everything. And I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah. Now you have the mental space. You have the clarity to rethink through things, which I don't think we always have the grace to do that. You can't necessarily step away from your job for 3 months all the time. So definitely for anybody that's pregnant, definitely leverage that maternity leave to, if you need a career reset or you're burned out, you're going to be tired with a newborn. So take that time when you're up late at night and, having to feed them. It's like, let me think about my career. Or I'm studying for Passive House right now. So I put her to sleep with the recordings on insulated foundations. My husband would be like, how did you get her to sleep? I'm like, well, we listened to Insulated Foundations tonight and that put her to sleep. But I learned something.
Oh, that's hilarious. That's hilarious. I think it happens for a lot of women. I think when motherhood, she's a colleague. She's someone I've worked with in the past. She's an interior designer and she recently had a baby. And I think she's also kind of in that, having those conversations with herself and, who knows if she's coming back. And I think too, at what capacity do you come back at? And for example, for you, not only did you have a full-time job, which you're kind of easing into, but you have Mentor Dino. And so you already have things that fill up after your 9 to 5. And then to throw in, motherhood, it's a lot. So how's that going for you?
Yeah, it's getting that 5 to 9 job into the 9 to 5 time frame. Granted, like if we get her down early, I will log in for like Mentor Dino stuff at night. Or if there's things I can do on my phone, I call it getting nap trapped. So when they fall asleep on you and like if you put them down the crib, they're just going to wake up. So you're stuck there. Then I do a lot of my social media stuff. So if people see me rapid fire, like doing stories, I'm like, you'll know I am probably nap trapped on the couch and catching up. But it's really trying to refocus that. And I know so many people see women leave the AUC industry whenever they hit this motherhood moment. And I wouldn't really call it leaving the industry. I would call it more like realigning to our passions. And some people may leave for a time and that may happen because daycare is really expensive. And so even going part-time, like that whole paycheck is pretty much going to daycare. And so it's okay financially, you may have to take a break. But if you take a break, there's actually great opportunities to be a contractor for another firm. So you could be a 1099, you could keep up to date with drafting and standards and keeping something on your resume, but giving you that flexibility of time. Because so many firms, it's, you don't need to be sitting in your seat to be 9 to 5 or be a 1099. And that gives people the flexibility. So I think there's more opportunities now for any women, but it does make you rethink your career and not wanting to work late nights. Those nights are precious. I don't want to log back in and do drafting work. I want to go spend time with my daughter, and I'm tired. I want to go to bed when she goes to bed. I don't want to be logging in late. And I don't think that's a bad thing for women to push, because I can see the generation coming in pushing those boundaries as well on not working 60, 70, 80 hours a week. They don't want to do that in general. And as a parent, I don't want to do it. My husband doesn't want to do that. So it's not even just women. It's the men want to spend time with their kids. And our generation being parents, the men are a lot more involved in a kid's life than our parents' generations. It was more they needed to go make sure they were bringing in all the work. So granted, he's full-time in that and I'm part-time. But at the same time, there's give and take, and you're at a different stage in your career and in your life. And there's these pivots. Like I've been listening to Michelle Robbins' book, The Let Them Theory.
Yes.
Absolutely love it. And I love that she actually does her own like speaking for the audiobook, because I can listen to so many audiobooks when holding my daughter, and it makes so much more sense. And it's like, I always got so upset when people would work all these overtime hours and they're in leadership. I'm like, let them. That's their protocol. They can go do that. I'm not going to. And if they get upset with my boundaries, that's their own problem. Like, I don't mind pushing myself for a deadline, but I'm not pushing myself every night. We're not doctors. Nobody's going to die if I don't log in tonight. I haven't had any Smith Group apps on my phone since October. And the only thing that's annoying is if I want to see what's on my schedule the next morning, I have to log into my laptop to check. But like, I'm able to disconnect, and nobody's died. It's all been fine. So it's like, you don't need to be on call 24/7. And I think that's like our generation and the coming generations are really going to push that in architecture. And it's not people wanting to leave architecture. It's just, we enjoy having a life and going and doing something else.
Yeah, I think that's because...
It's a very long-winded answer for you on that.
No, it was great. You hit so many points. And I think too, it's, thinking about the next generation of architects, and even thinking about studio culture and how that instilled in us. We have to work hard. We have to love architecture. We have to breathe architecture, eat architecture, sleep architecture, and we have to do all-nighters. And like that culture is so heavily, like, it's kind of, what's the word? Words have been escaping me all week. It's like kind of idolized, but it's like, it's encouraged. Oh, like, let's see how many all-nighters. Oh my gosh, you pulled 2. Oh, okay. Yeah. I pulled 3. It's kind of even like this competitiveness. And I think too, I'd be curious to know like how the next generation is doing with like all-nighters in architecture school, because I struggled with them. But I think there is definitely a huge shift in what our generation and the incoming generation, for sure. Like you said, there is definitely a shift. And a lot of us, like right now, I'm going through a period of time where I'm working so much, I'm making so much money. And honestly, that's great. I'm very grateful for the work I have. I'm very grateful for the abundance that is coming in. But I realized that what is it at the end of the day? Okay, so I made more money. I got more work, but am I happier? Am I like, I don't have time to do anything right now. Like I'm literally working 12, like I had a 12-hour day earlier this week, completely exhausted. And I'm working on weekends right now. There's also a lot of personal things happening and things like that. So that it's a unique situation I'm in right now. Not something I hope to ever repeat again, but I'm kind of, also it's the first time I'm being super busy for working for myself. Usually summers are slow. Last 2 summers have been super slow. This summer, I'm like, I need to get out of town and I don't have the time to get out of town. So it's kind of like, it just ebbs and flows of life. And I'm just kind of, flowing or kind of like falling down the river rapid, but that's okay. Figuring it out.
It's finding that like sweet spot. I'm exhausted right now between working part-time, getting this academy put together, and learning how to still be a parent, because every day is different. But I wouldn't make it any other way. Like I could just do Smith Group and honestly let Mentor Dino just fall to the wayside and take a year off. But I'm like, no, when you find something that's your fire and keeps you passionate, you find the time to do it. But I know I'm pushing myself more and working weekends on it. And my goal of Mentor Dino, so I don't have to work weekends and nights. And I'm like, no, this is just temporary to get everything going, because getting everything switched over to a new software, having to redo a lot of work. I'm like, nope, it's just until like mid to end September and it'll be fine. So it's like, as long as it's only like a flavor of life type thing, or if I had a 12-hour day, it's because I was on a job site. Like I had so many projects up in Connecticut, and I would make sure I would fly up there one day and have a full day up there. I'm not catching a plane and I'm not dealing with anything. I'll catch a plane the next day. And that long day, it would be 12 to 14 hours. But you know what? I was on a job site. We got so much done. I was sitting down with the contractor. So they were long trips, but I'm like, you know what? I can't get on the job site every single day. It's not down the street. So it's like, okay, I'm going to make those long days. But you know what? On Friday after I get home, I'm going to cut my day short. And it's like, I've already hit my hours for the week. If nothing's pressing or not a deadline, then I'm going to take a couple hours for myself or sleep in and log in late. So, and that doesn't hurt anything. You still got everything done that you needed.
Exactly. And it's kind of finding, it's like kind of that word balance. I know some people are like, well, it's not really balanced, but it is. Like you just said, you're like, well, I worked longer and harder one day. Okay. So I don't have to repeat that the next day, and it's like, cause then you do burn out, you do crash out. And so I think it's finding, and exactly like, I've had to work a few weekends too. And you're just like, okay, yeah, I have to work weekend. Honestly, that's the time when I get the most amount of work done because there's no emails, there's no phone calls. Like my sweet spot is Sunday morning after I've had a slow morning, like before lunchtime. I can't tell you how much work I get done in a 2-hour span on a Sunday morning. 2 hours of that time is equivalent to like 4 hours on a weekday. There is something about that time for me. And it's like, okay, so sometimes, I'd rather work 2 hours on a Sunday and then take like Friday off or, have time in the week to go do something or be like, I'm going to take a half day, go to the beach. You kind of have to pick and choose, what you need to do in that moment. And I think too, it's great that you said that everything's kind of temporary and it's just like the season of life. And it's also, short-term pain, long-term gain. And kind of going back to what we said or what you talked about earlier in the episode about investing, like right now you're investing the time and the money. And in the future, it's going to be like, okay, I did the work, I put in the investment. Now it's going to come back, tenfold.
Yeah, exactly. I've gone away from saying the word balance in work-life balance. I always like to say work-life integration because it's how you're integrating your life. And sometimes your family is going to pull more than your career. And sometimes your career is going to pull more than your family. And it doesn't mean it has to be a 50-50 split every single day. I always put it even for like dealing with a night with a baby. It's like going to war. You never know what you're going to get. You don't know. It's magical the nights you wake up and it's 6 o'clock in the morning. You're like, holy crap, you didn't wake up. I didn't wake up. This is amazing. And then there's other ones where it's a battlefield and it's just, what energy do you have? And my husband and I just communicate, hey, I don't have the energy tonight. Can you handle it? I'm starting to get sick. So he's like, go sleep in the guest room. And I took over at 3 o'clock in the morning. And so it's like, okay, you go get a solid amount of sleep and not wake up to her making noises. And then we'll trade. But at least like based on what you need today, this is how we should split things up. Or if like I needed a break to work on Mentor Dino stuff and I'm like, you go for your runs in the morning. I need some time. He's like, great. I'm going to go take her to lunch and meet up with a buddy. And I got like 3 hours of just Mentor Dino time in this office, like all my monitors. And I was like, okay, I'm flying through stuff, did so many mini recordings and like felt so much more accomplished in the day when I can get something done. But that happened on a Sunday. Didn't happen Monday through Friday, but there's also half of a Friday I couldn't work and get things done and we were off doing something. So it's, you pick and choose what days and it doesn't have to be that I only work 9 to 5 Monday through Friday. And if it's outside that window, I'm upset. And no, you just need to have that flexibility and try not to burn yourself out. It's like, nope, I didn't do anything Mentor Dino yesterday. Didn't open up anything, didn't post anything on social media. And it's like, didn't do anything that day. That was a Smith Group day and then family. So all depends.
It does. And it does. And it ebbs and flows. And I think too, bringing up family and just, life happens where you get sick. And I think you just kind of go with it. And one thing I like that you talked about is the communication with your husband. I think that's something I definitely resonate with because my husband and I too, right now, he's working really a lot. I'm working a lot. And we've been communicating like, especially about right now for us, it's about meals. That's really the only time that right now is like, are you going to cook? I'm going to cook. Are we ordering in? What are we going to do? Like, how are we going to, that's like our biggest thing right now that we're trying to coordinate, which I know is probably nothing compared to having a child. And I can recognize that.
Hey, we bail and just have ice cream for dinner sometimes. We're like, we're adults. We're going to go have ice cream for dinner.
Nice.
And that's it.
Oh, I love that. I love that. We might have to do that one of these nights because it's just like, and really the housework too and things like that. And I am grateful we do have cleaners. Without them, I can't imagine doing anything. I mean, they're amazing. but still like there's other stuff that has to get done. And so it's the communication of like, hey, I had, or we both had really hard days. Let's just keep it easy on ourselves. Let's order in. Or, hey, I've got a little bit more energy. Why don't I finish making food for us or whatever it is? And just kind of being flexible. And you just kind of right now we're going through a little bit of a challenge with a family member who's not doing well. And so it's like, we're just taking things day by day.
Yeah.
And it's like, whatever comes up, comes up. I mean, you never know. Like a couple days ago, we had a tsunami warning in California, and then you get that thrown in, which by the way, like our projects, like my husband and I, our projects would have been in the zone that had a tsunami come, like would have affected that. And I'm like laying in bed at night going, on top of everything that's going on, now we have tsunami warning. There was an earthquake this morning. So it's just like, yeah, that this week.
This is why I don't live in California.
Yeah. Well, what do you have in Pennsylvania? Just the cold, right?
Pretty much. Well, now tornadoes are coming through. We're pretty hilly, but that spiked. And then we lost power for 3 days due to lateral winds. Like not even a tornado. It was like just a storm that came through and like knocked down power to more than a quarter of the Pittsburgh area. And so we were on generators and stuff. And like then I was still on leave. So I think Haley was only 2 months. And it's like, you've got your sound systems you try to do. And so it's like, I'm running over to my mom's place because she had power and I'm like powering up all of our devices and stuff to keep her asleep. I'm using tea lights around the baby changing station. You would think I would have like walked into a spa for like how I had the nursery set up. But yeah, not too much happened, but it's like cold and just crappy weather, gray skies, and like then the heat, like the heat this year has just been crazy. I think this weekend's going to be the first like nice-ish weekend where it's like not 90, 100 degrees. Like I can't take her outside to go enjoy the outside because she's then in that like class of people that shouldn't be outside in these elements. And I'm like, man, I want to take you outside. I want to go to the pool. Yeah. But yeah, so we don't have tsunamis and earthquakes. Not all the time. There's been a few earthquakes, but they're usually like tiny little things. You're like, what was that? Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. It's been a whirlwind on that. And that's something else you have to counter into it's not like it's your work, it's your family. You've got, natural disasters at this point. And we could have a whole topic on that, as well as what does that do to us as architects? Because when the fires came through California, I was ordering so many books on fire protection. What should I be specifying? Every client, I all of a sudden had meetings with them. Everyone's like, what are we doing? What are we doing differently? Can we still even design what we were thinking? So there's just so much that goes into our lives. And it's just like, well, that's a whole topic. That's a whole nother topic we can dive down.
And like, that's the magic of the industry of like, there's just so many facets to it. Like this is going to be really dumb, but like, I didn't even realize you could like design a building to fight against fires from like a wildfire, like, fire codes and like fire protecting your steel from like a fire within the building or adjacent building, but like a wildfire is huge. And so like, I never thought of it that way. I'm like, oh, you can do that? I'm like, I don't have any fire near me. We get like smoke from when California and Oregon and Colorado all got hit really hard, or the Canadian fires, like we'll get all the fog and smoke coming from that. But like, I was like, oh, I didn't know you could do that. So like you were posting stuff on books and stuff. I'm like, oh, like I just want to learn. And I'm like, I didn't have a fire come through my area, but it's fascinating that you can design something that way to go against like that extreme and not just, you're in Alaska and you get the extreme cold, or you're down in Florida with some hurricanes. It's like, oh, that's another natural disaster. I just didn't think we could design around, or I just don't think I had that issue happen to think about it. So it's fascinating, like the things we can do to help combat like climate change and natural disasters. But I know finances are always the hard part. Like we can't build everything.
That and the aesthetics of it. I know some clients, I had some ideas and they were like, no, because like eaves, I was like, we can get rid of all these eaves. And my client was like, I like the eaves. I was like, okay, well, there's a level of, how fire resistant you want to be. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, Katelyn, it's been such a pleasure having you back on to share kind of what you've been up to. And I love that my episode came out today. Now we're reconnecting. I feel like we've been like connecting constantly, and it feels really good to kind of hear an update on how you're doing. And you're doing great. It sounds like, I mean, there's a lot going on, but
a lot chaos, but it's fine.
But it's fine. Yeah, no, like you said, what, you've been up since 3 a.m. So
yeah, I'm definitely going to bed early tonight. But took a long shower, like had my mom come over to watch her. And I'm like, I'm going to go take a nice long shower. And it's amazing what a shower can do.
I bet. I can only imagine. Well, Katelyn, thank you so much for coming on. Before you go, though, I know the Academy will be live when this episode airs. So where can people sign up for it, and any other links you want to share?
Yeah, so anybody can go to mentordino.com. That should all be updated by the time this episode comes out. So you can access the Academy through there, the Mentor Dino Network, which is that mentoring community I discussed. I do still have some courses that I'm going to sell separately. So if somebody is studying for the AREs, I pulled that out, knowing that not everybody can afford getting into the Academy. Or you can go to academy.mentordino.com, and that gets you directly to the Academy landing page. So either one of those works, or you can always check out the podcast, because I'm going to make sure I'm talking about it a lot more at the start and in the middle of the episodes. So you're always welcome to check out the Mentor Dino podcast, because I'm still having guests on there and enjoying having some great conversations with fascinating people across the country. So yeah. And I'll give all those links to you. So
perfect.
Makes it easy one-stop shop.
Perfect. Well, Katelyn, thank you so much.
Yeah. Thanks, Katerina, for having me on.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of From the Honeycomb podcast. If you enjoyed it, please take a moment to rate, review, and share it with your friends. To stay connected, follow me on Instagram at From the Honeycomb podcast, and you can support the podcast through the Patreon link in the show notes. And don't forget to subscribe to my monthly newsletter, where I share exclusive behind-the-scene content and tips on running a mindful and successful architecture business. Thank you again for listening, and stay curious.